Freedom is never won by chance. It's won in the dark, in the preparation no one sees. 250 years ago, our founders pledged their lives, their fortunes, their sacred honor for something bigger than themselves. That's the story of America. Freedom isn't given, it's earned. Crossing the Delaware, settling the West, walking the moon, rising to the challenge, no matter the odds. We built something no one thought possible, and we carry it forward every time we refuse to quit. So get on your feet, because 250 years later, we're still standing. And America is just getting started. Apply now for the 2026 Patriot Games.
The 2026 Patriot Games. Do you guys hear about this? I'm sure you've heard about it, but do you know the details of it? So notice how they tried to sell this. Look, it's basically an arena where the king and all of the oligarchs can sit around and watch young people compete for glory, which may eventually lead on to competing for money, which they're also doing, which could also lead on to them competing for representation so that maybe someone else doesn't die. Anyways, those are just some of the things that people are thinking about here. It's not the only ad that's been popping around. I also saw this one.
Celebrate 250 years of America. Cheer the next generation of American champions this fall in the Patriot Games. Be part of history. Celebrate America. RSVP now at freedom250.org.
And the signups have begun. Look, it's happening at the beginning of August. They want children. I'm going to get to the details of that in a second. Underage folks to sign up. There's like a very specific cutoff point that they want to make sure people know about. But again, when this was all announced at the end of last year, there were discussions about some odd comparisons to other popular themes and ideas, books, which has been transferred into a movie.
President Trump says 2026 is going to be a celebration of America like no other. He's announced several events marking America's 250th birthday, including the first ever Patriot Games, which will pit top high school athletes from around the country against each other. The competition is already being mocked, drawing wide comparisons to the popular book and movie, The Hunger Games. California Governor Gavin Newsom posting the famous quote, "May the odds ever be in your favor." And Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker posting this picture from the film. MS Now's Jake Traylor is at the White House for us. Do we even know what exactly the Patriot Games are?
Yeah, Chris, it's one high school boy from each state, one high school girl from each state, 100 young athletes in total dueling it out for America's 250th anniversary. This is the Patriot Games, not to, as you said, be confused with the Hunger Games as it's kind of getting mocked online for.
You know, they say like, the real life is mimicking, fiction or whatever. In reality, like every time these extreme over the top things happen, whether it's real history or any kind of like, literature, they'll copy it if it's something that entertains this toddler that's in the White House. Or I think more importantly, the whole idea here is to distract enough folks because, all we have to do is boast and brag about, my teenager from my state won the Patriot Games. And what did you get for it again? Except for distractions from the destruction that's happening from this White House. That's what's upcoming. The distractions of having a UFC event on the lawn, the distractions of having Donald Trump have a week-long MAGA rally on the White House lawn or in front of the reflecting pool to talk about how great he is. And then they complain when things don't go right. But I want to show you what was in this application because I went to one of those links and one of those ads and I said, what is it that they're looking for here? As America celebrates its 250th birthday, the Patriot Games will bring together the nation's most exceptional young athletes, and leaders for an unforgettable competition honoring excellence and the American spirit. I want you guys to listen and maybe even follow along for yourselves to see if you find what the hell this is supposed to be competing against and what for and how as they ask kids to sign up. So each champion will receive $125,000 in scholarship funding. That's attractive. Participation includes an all expense paid trip for each athlete and one chaperone. Their eligibility, this is one of the bigger parts, must be between 14 and 17 years old. Eligible contestants must be 14 by June of this year and 17 or younger on December 31st of this year. Got to be a U.S. legal citizen, resident of a U.S. state, territory, or tribal nation, student in good academic standing. Who knows exactly where their level is and their line is for academic standing? Okay, so they go through the whole thing. The participant, the child, puts in their name. Here's one of the main sections: sex assigned at birth. Because, of course, part of this was to try and promote their stupid culture war and talking about how there's all these trans women that are competing in men's sports, and therefore we have to keep them out. Because, again, this is about stupidity. All their information, home addresses, and this is where it really picks up for me. Look, as we scroll down, they want these children's Instagram handle, their TikTok handle, their X account handle, if they've got one. And then for the parents, all of your information, of course. Does your child have a disability? Wonder why they're asking that. Maybe there's a real reason. But after all that, they want these children to then introduce themselves on video by recording a 1 to 2 minute introduction video and share it on this YouTube link where they keep it private, and then they get to look at it themselves. What they assess about these children that cannot be 18 years old because they're like, a little bit too old, is to say why they want to compete in these games, how have sports helped shape who they are, and what would being selected for the 26 Patriot Games and the opportunity to earn a scholarship mean to them. I assume maybe for promotional purposes, maybe for some heartfelt story when they introduce Johnny from Nebraska and say, Johnny always wanted to get this scholarship so that he could go to college because he couldn't afford it with his own family themselves. But they want video introductions, and they really want to know everything about your child. Now, there's going to be tons, I assume, of people signing up for this opportunity. Maybe, maybe not. I have no idea what the reception has been so far. But there's going to be 100 kids, 2 from each state, 1 boy, 1 girl. And therefore, all the rest of the numbers of folks that don't make that cut, they still have your X account, your TikTok account, your YouTube account, your Instagram account, whatever the hell else that they want to take from you that you've given to them. And then what do they use that for? I feel like these are questions that we don't ask enough. So, hey, you're a little kid, you're a teenager, 14 to 17 years old, signs up, gives them all that information, and they still don't even know what is it they're supposed to be doing. You know, athletes like train and prepare for whatever kind of competition they're going to get involved in. And in this particular case, as also they point out back in December, when maybe it was okay for them to not know what the hell they're getting themselves involved in. To this day, nothing on that application page, at least that I saw, maybe I scanned too fast, tells me what they're going to be doing. What kind of athletic event would they be doing in this arena where the king sits there and eats his meat and tosses breadcrumbs to all the plebes? What is it that they'll be doing? So I checked another article. I mean, look, I was scouring. I was like, maybe I'm just missing it. It's a Forbes article. They answered the question. It's unclear what exact challenges the athletes will participate in, though it appears some will be team-based. It appears that way. Freedom 250 says the challenges will be, quote, designed to test strength, endurance, agility, teamwork, and perseverance, while highlighting the values that have helped shape generations of Americans. What does that mean? How is it that an athletic competition is going to highlight the values that shaped the generations of Americans? What kind of athletic competitions embody or illustrate those things? War games? Mock war? Who knows? Who knows? But they're supposed to test apparently their mental and physical capabilities. Hey, here this might be one last indication, considering that Donald Trump likes to do things like follow behind what Adolf Hitler did with like his ARC plans, his ARC de Trump. Adolf Hitler wanted to do the exact same thing. Also, Adolf Hitler had this whole thing about young German, purebred Germans and their athletic prowess. I remember that. Maybe this is what the Patriot Games look like in Donald Trump's head. So that was German youth taking part in their physical and training and sports meeting that they were taking part in back in the late 30s.